Hey, friends, welcome to episode 280 of Better Than Before Breast Cancer with me, Laura Lummer, the breast cancer recovery coach. Thank you so much for joining me in the show today. I'm literally dying to talk about this show today. But before I do, I just want to ask something of you. If you are a repeat listener and you enjoy the show, you get something from this podcast, or if you're a new listener and you actually like what you hear here today, it would mean so much to me if you could take a moment to leave a rating or review for the show, especially because at the time of this recording, this show will come out in late September. And coming up on October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it's so important for me to reach as many survivors and thrivers as I possibly can, because I know, and you know, that when we're on this side of that pink ribbon, that Breast Cancer Awareness Month has a whole new meaning. And I really believe that those of us who've been through the treatment, who are living with managing cancer, need extra support during that month. You know, we need someone to maybe shine a light and inspire us and give us hope instead of listening to a lot of stories, which are all said for good reason. I get it. I get the whole marketing. I get the pink campaign. I support a lot of that. But it also comes with a lot of really tragic stories, and I think sadly, we sometimes motivate people through fear, and the last thing we all need, ladies, is fear, right? We don't need more fear. We got enough of that shit. So if you could take the time to leave a rating or review, it makes it easier for people who may need to hear what is talked about in this podcast to find the show. So if you could do that, all you got to do is scroll down to right where you're listening to this podcast, tap on some stars. And if you have an extra moment, type or even dictate in a review what you thought, maybe what your favorite episode is, anything that inspires you. And if you can just tap on a couple stars, well, let's hope it's not a couple. Let's try to give 5 stars. If you can tap on 5 stars, that would be amazing. All right. Well, I want to get into this. So sometimes, have you ever had this experience where you just doing something and suddenly it's like you have a moment of clarity, right? Suddenly things just kind of sink and fall into place. And it's like, I can't wait to tell somebody this. I can't wait to talk about this. And this kind of happened, well, not kind of, it did happen to me the other day. So let me give you a little bit of background. I have always loved physical challenges. I loved playing sports way more than watching sports. I love playing sports. I loved weightlifting, weight training, challenging myself physically. Part of that is I love the feeling of being physically strong. And another part of that is the mental fortitude, how much I would see, like it's so much in our head, what we can achieve, what we can break through our own barriers, what we can challenge ourselves to do. And I think for that reason, you know, some girls are attracted to bad boys, and I'm always attracted to badass boys, right? And I think the most badass boys, and now people, thank God, in the world are Navy SEALs. Like Navy SEALs are badass. And if that was something that was available for women when I was young and growing up and not crunchy and still eligible to do things that were extremely physically and mentally challenging, I totally would have gone through or tried to go through Navy SEAL training. Like, I think it's incredible. And when I see shows about it, or there was a reality show some time ago, I don't even remember what it was called, but it showed people going through special ops training. Wow. And I'm just so impressed by that. One, because of the physical strength that they have and the endurance and their just ability to just challenge their bodies and make them stronger and stronger. But even more than that is the mental fortitude. You know, to be able to be uncomfortable and adopt a mindset that lets you get through somehow, continue to push through, to accept and embrace discomfort and still not only come through it, not only challenge yourself, but challenge yourself to what is considered like one of the most ultimate physical challenges, right? Physical accomplishments to get through Navy SEAL training, to be a Navy SEAL, and who knows the things they have to do. So, with all that being said, my husband is a huge YouTube fan. He's forever watching different videos on YouTube. And the other day he was watching this, and this guy, I was listening to him and I thought, he's cool. Who is this guy? And his name is Jocko Willing, and he's a retired Navy SEAL. He's a leadership speaker, motivational speaker, just a badass guy. And what was really cool is it was I don't even know what it was. It was a YouTube channel, and people were showing him war movies like Apocalypse Now and Saving Private Ryan. And he was just giving insights on whether or not they were realistic or not. And it was really fascinating to listen to him. So I have this on my mind, and I see this guy and I think, "I just love this guy." And so I keep telling my husband, "Find more stuff that he talks about." And he's got, these really motivational leadership speeches, and he just talks about being that person to really be responsible for yourself, for the people around you, to accept responsibility, to step into responsibility, to step up to responsibility, and I just love that. I love that. So I'm not even close to a Navy SEAL, people. Don't think that I'm comparing myself to, like, actually being a Navy SEAL. I can maybe do 5 honest push-ups, maybe. But the other morning, I'm in spin class, and gonna tell you this not for sympathy's sake, but just to kind of bring the story full circle. I take a chemotherapy, an oral chemotherapy called Xeloda, and it is working fantastically well for me. I have very, very few side effects. And really, the only side effect that I have from it is what's called a hand and foot syndrome. And so it causes this discoloration, like a hyperpigmentation, brown spots and dark colors on the palms of my hand and the soles of my feet. But it also causes them to hurt. They get super, super dry and they crack. And I'm constantly putting on coconut oil and moisturizers and anything I can get. I'll just wipe my hands in butter if it comes to it. But I have to constantly be taking care of them. And even when I do, they just kind of feel blistered, They feel uncomfortable. They're just uncomfortable pretty much all the time. So I'm in spin class and I'm having a great class. I love my spin studio. It's so fun. I love that we're in this dark room, that they've got black lights going on, that the music is amazing, the instructors are motivational. I have to wear my earplugs because it's so loud in there, but I don't care. I love it. I love feeling the beat of that music, like literally going through my body while I'm doing spin. And I'm there and I'm spinning and I feel my hands and my feet. I notice that. I notice how they feel. And Jocko comes to mind. Navy SEAL training comes to mind. And I think, you know what? We breast cancer survivors, we're like Navy SEALs. And not in the sense that we're these warriors or we're fighting this battle. That's not the mentality I subscribe to. But because we live with a lot of discomfort. We have to overcome a lot of discomfort. And we have to make conscious, intentional decisions to live the kind of life we want to live, even with that discomfort, right? So this came to my head and I'm like spinning and I'm thinking, yeah, my feet hurt and yeah, my hands hurt, but I'm not going to stop doing the things I enjoy. It's just discomfort. It's not pain. I'm not injuring myself. I'm not harming myself. I know this. There's a big difference between discomfort and pain. So I'm not saying push through pain ever, ever. But there are things that are side effects for us, right? When I was taking Versinio, holy moly, if you've ever been on Versinio, I don't have to fill you in on the side effect that happens with the distress it causes to your gut. And there are I've been on tamoxifen, I've been on letrozole. Some I have very little side effects, but I'm sure you all know some you get really challenging joint pain. Some you get a lot of fatigue, and it depends on the person, right? So we humans, we share like 99.9% the same genome, but our guts, our bacteria, our microbiome are 80 to 90% different from one person to another. So we experience things differently because everything has to interact with our gut. So that discomfort is going to be different for everyone. We might have some similar side effects, but it depends on the intensity that we're going to experience them based on our own biodiversity, our own uniqueness. And yet, no matter what level that discomfort comes to, You are the one who's got to do the hard work, right? We've got two choices. When we get a diagnosis of breast cancer, well, we can sit there and cry, which we kind of do for the first few days, if not a little longer. But then we've got to make some really tough decisions, really tough. It's not like we have choices between the good thing and the bad thing. We've got choices between the hard thing and the harder thing. And we have to support ourselves in our mental and emotional wellness and be able to make those decisions in an informed way and be able to live with making super tough choices that have results that ultimately we believe are going to extend our life. But even though that may be the case, the results aren't always wonderful, right? We don't love them. They're tough decisions. And we have to step in and take responsibility for our body. We have to step in and take responsibility for our health, for our wellness. We have to step in and get the team we need, right? Navy SEALs, you know what? They've got each other's back. And don't we, as breast cancer survivors? When you meet another breast cancer survivor, there's an instant connection, isn't there? It's like, I know you. I know what you've been through. I get you. And I know you're going to get me. Like this story I'm sharing with you, you're the first people I'm sharing it with. Like I didn't come home and say this to my husband because I think he might have looked at me like, okay, that's kind of okay, whatever, right? But you get it because you understand that stepping in and taking responsibility for yourself is hard and it takes effort and it takes energy. And these bodies, they're our support system. They're like our buddies, right? They're in the bunker with us. That's these bodies. And we've got to step in and take responsibility because if we don't, we're never going to pass SEAL training. Okay. If we sit back here and we allow what we don't like in our life to be blamed on something or someone else, like the big C word, if we say cancer happened, therefore these things in my life I don't like, then we're really not stepping in and saying, I don't like these things, but this is still the way I'm going to choose to move forward and create the life I want. And that takes a lot. I know that takes a lot. I coach women every day who are putting in a tremendous amount of effort and a tremendous amount of attention to have their own backs. And we're not taught that way, right? So here's another similarity, like SEAL training, special ops training, like that is elite training. And it's way above what regular people, normies, are taught. The level of discipline, the level of commitment, it's just staggering, right? It's elite. But so is what we go through, right? What we have to overcome is not something someone taught us. It's not something that's talked about when we're growing up. It's not something that people say, hey, when you go through trauma, here's what you're going to have to do. People don't say to us, hey, one day you're going to find your body in this situation and things are going to be hurting and things won't work right and you won't feel the way you want to feel, but you're going to have to learn to just be there. You're going to have to learn to just take that on and then step in to being responsible for what you want to do with that going forward. And that takes a lot of intention and support and motivation and mental discipline and love. You probably don't think about love when you think about a Navy SEAL, but think about the loyalty and the care they have for each other, the need they have for each other when they go into an assignment or an operation. And that's the kind of loyalty and that's the kind of devotion we have to ourselves. We have to develop that devotion. We've got to train ourselves to be devoted in that way so that no matter what life throws at us and what's happening to us, we love ourselves enough to have our own back. We don't just leave ourselves behind. We don't just leave that body laying in the dust, right? No one left behind. We're going to pick up and we're going to move forward even when it's hard, even when it's scary, even when it's unknown. We're going to make hard decisions. And anyone who tells you different is full of shit. We have to really dig deep and find courage within ourselves. We've got to overcome a tremendous amount of fear. And that's not just to get through breast cancer. It's not just to manage it. It's not just to live with it if you're someone living with metastatic disease. But it's about creating the life you want after that diagnosis. because we can't get well in the same soil and in the same life and in the same terrain that we got sick in. And so we've got to step up and not only be there for ourselves and not only find that support in our other people who have our back, our other champions, our other survivors who understand and have that connection to us, and the people around us who love us and who will be willing to be in that bunker with us. We reach out to them and we strengthen those connections. And then we've got to decide to do scary things to change our life. We've got to work hard to train our brains to adopt different ways of thinking. We've got to stop looking at some of the things that we used to call treats and be honest with ourselves about what they do to this body, because our body now needs special care, special attention, and it requires this elite level of devotion to ourselves. So as I'm on this bike and I'm spinning like crazy and I'm thinking this, right? And this story is building in my head and all these connections are clicking and all of this electricity is going off in my brain and tears are coming down my face because I'm thinking, yes, yes, this is so powerful. This is so great. This is so badass. This is something to be proud of. Not the fight, but the ability to train ourselves, to be present with ourselves, to support ourselves, and to have our own back in everything we go through, to be elite in the sense of the amount of grace and compassion and care and intention that we give to ourselves to create the life we really want to live once we've looked mortality in the eye. Because we have. We've had a life-threatening illness or we live with a life-threatening illness. And every day we have to make a choice to support this body and help it get through and help it come out on the other side the way that we want it to. And when that veil is lifted and we look that mortality in the eye, it's time to make some tough choices. And mainly, I think the consistent tough choice is to show up for yourself over and over and over again. Is to decide that no matter how hard it is, you're going to show up for yourself no matter how long it takes. That you are elite in the level of compassion and care you will extend to yourself. Now you see how my brain works when I'm on a spin bike. And maybe that's why I like exercise so much. Honestly, when I exercise, these kind of things happen. It like gives me moments of clarity. But I just wanted to say kudos to you, my sisters out there, and give those kudos to yourself. And know that when the training gets hard, there's support available for you. No Navy SEAL goes through training alone. No Navy SEAL goes through a special ops alone. And there's no reason why you need to go through breast cancer or building a life that you dream about alone. So make sure that you get the support that you need. And if you're not even sure what that is, but you know that you might need a little support in getting through the toughest times, come and find me and join me in the Better Than Before Breast Cancer Life Coaching Membership, where you'll get all the support, all the skills, and all the tools you need to practice that elite self-compassion and show up for yourself over and over again. All right, my friend, I'll talk to you soon. Be good to yourself until then. Take care.